life practice community.
So we'll start in a comfortable shape. Do you have any blocks or okay, so we will have, you might want to find like a pillow or a cushion of some sort, because we will have a pose where you'll want something under your back. Okay, so for the start, you might want to sit on your cushion to start, coming into a comfortable seated position. Lengthen the spine, soften the shoulders, close your eyes if that feels safe to you, or allow yourself to have a soft gaze. And then start to take slow, deep breaths. Allow your awareness to sink into your belly. Notice the rhythm of your breath in your belly. You can put your hands on your belly to feel the rise and fall as your breaths are coming in and out. At this point, you don't need to change anything, just observe your breath. Accept the breath exactly the way it is. And just notice it may be jagged, it may be smooth. Your inhales may be short or long. As we pay attention to the breath, somehow it naturally changes. Notice the weight of your body on the cushion or the floor supporting it. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. Become aware of any sounds around you. Just notice them. We don't have to do anything to create the sounds. We just have to let them come to us. They could be sounds from within the room that you're in, or sounds from outside. Just allow them, don't judge them as being pleasant or unpleasant, and allow them to bring you into the present moment. And then bring your awareness to the heart level, checking in with your emotional body. Looking closely at your emotions. Don't dismiss anything that appears. It could be something small like being bored, maybe some irritation, something that's not quite to your liking. You might be noticing some impatience. Or you may also notice some contentment from time to time during the practice. The key is to just notice what's arising without judging yourself for whatever's there. Don't criticize yourself or congratulate yourself. Just notice what's happening right now. And then allow your awareness to rise even higher to the point right between the eyes. This is your third eye. Your wisdom, your intuition arises from this area. And pay attention to any thoughts that are arising in your head, in your mind. Don't try to stop them from coming, just watch them. Just watch it arise, any thoughts that come, and then watch them float away, kind of like clouds passing in the sky. Just observing your thoughts. And while we move into and out of postures today, we'll just keep taking an inventory of how you're responding to them. Notice how the practice affects you physically, emotionally, psychologically. And we'll start by a little breathing pranayama practice that I learned from puja yesterday. I really liked. So what we'll do is very slowly on the inhale, turn the head to the left. And then as you bring it back to center, you'll chant ah. And then we'll move inhale to the right. And as we come back to center, we'll inhale ooh. And then as we tilt our heads up to the sky, bringing our nose up to the ceiling on the inhale, when we bring it down, we'll chant So let's practice that together. Just on the inhale, very slowly turn your head to the left. And then coming back, we'll chant ah. And then inhale, turn to the right. And together we'll chant ooh. And then bringing the head up with an inhale. Keeping the neck lengthened in the back and chant Okay, we'll just warm up a little bit. So just inhale, bring the arms up. And then bring the right hand down to your side, stretching over to the right hand side with your left arm, reaching overhead, taking a nice breath into that side body. And exhale. Take one more breath here. And then come back to center, and we'll go over to the other side, taking 2 deep breaths. And one more. And then come back to center with an inhale. And then twist to the right, landing the left palm on the thigh and the right hand, fingertips behind your back. Gaze over your right shoulder. And take a few breaths here. And then come back to center, arms overhead. Inhale and exhale, twist to the left, gaze over the left shoulder, getting a nice little twist in the spine, and breathing here. And then come back to center. Take a big breath in and exhale, hands to heart center. And we'll come into a hands and knees position. Move your pillow or your bolster aside. And just feel strong through the palms, spreading the fingers. Knees are about hip width apart. And then tilt the chin up to the ceiling, rounding through the back, tilting the pelvis with an inhale. And then exhale, curl the spine, tilt the head down, coming into cat. And then again on an inhale, raise your head to the sky, the head up, that's right. And then exhale down. I'm still wearing my pajamas. I thought this would be really super comfy to practice in today. And I saw Emily had her pajamas on earlier in the week. Tilt up to cat cow. We'll do this one more time. They do feel super comfy. You don't have to wear tight leggings to do yoga. And then let's just do some barrel rolls with the chest, just rolling through. You can find any movement on your hands and knees that feels comfortable for you. You can kind of go freestyle if you want. Just doing whatever feels good for you to warm up your body. You can gaze over one shoulder, gaze over the other. You can stretch the leg out and bring it across and gaze over the shoulder at your foot. Just getting a little side bend. We can do that with the other side, stretching out, crossing it over behind, and gazing over the shoulder at your foot. And then we'll do a little thread the needle. So lift the right hand up to the sky, and then bring your arm through and land on your right shoulder, right cheek, bringing the left arm around and back behind your spine, getting a twist in your upper thoracic spine. You can use that hand behind your back to kind of move your shoulders and open your heart a little more. Take a few breaths here. And if you can't hear me at any point, just type a note into the chat or unmute yourself. Feel free to do that. Come back to hands and knees, and then we'll lift the left hand up to the sky. On an inhale, on exhale, reach your arm through, landing on the left shoulder, left cheek, and leave the right arm back behind the hip or the lower back. Using that as like a lever to open your heart a little up to your chest to the side. Take a few breaths here. And then release that. And we will come into our first yin pose. We're going to be doing, it's called a Pontoon Series. So you'll put a pillow or a block under under your sacrum, kind of the small of your back, and you'll have your legs stretched out in front and your head down up at the top, and just have your head at the center. Your arms can be open, palms up. You could also use books, stacks of books, if you feel like the pillow is not like enough support under your hips and you want it like a little higher or a little more support. And we'll hold this for 3 minutes. This pontoon pose is an excellent pose to stretch the hip flexors and the abdomen associated with stomach and spleen meridians. So there are 3 simple principles for yin practice. The first is to come into the pose to an appropriate depth. So you want to kind of come to your edge and then resolve to remain still and hold the pose for some time. So we've been talking about the yamas in the past yin sessions. This is our last practice of this series. We will continue into the next season. But we've done all of the yamas, which are attitudes towards our environment. And today we're going to start looking at niyamas, which are attitudes towards ourselves. So we'll be looking at the niyama santosha, or contentment. It's a state of underlying contentment with what life is offering you. In the Yoga Sutras, they say by contentment, the highest happiness is attained. And as I was thinking about it, contentment, I was having some difficulty thinking about contentment because I was feeling a little disturbed last night by something going on with my mother, who's at the end of her life in a nursing home. And I was feeling kind of sad, I think, and discontented with some of the things that are happening with her. But contentment, as taught by Patanjali, is being content as we are without seeking happiness or contentment from external sources. We have about 1 more breath here. And then what you're going to do is just stay on the block and bring your feet so that the soles of your feet touch, coming into a butterfly pose with your legs, but leaving your hips on the block or the books or the pillow, whatever you have found. And we'll stay here for 3 more minutes. Sometimes we think about acquiring possessions as like when I finally get this, I'll be happy. When I finally find a relationship, I'll be happy. When I finally get to a certain body weight, I'll be happy. When I have this job, I'll be happy. There's no end to it. But does that really end up bringing us the happiness that we're looking for? And what the Yoga Sutras are teaching us is to find contentment from within, which isn't always easy to do, and it takes continual practice. Coming to the mat, coming to meditation, doing seeking within on a regular basis is how we find it. Santosha is the experience of unconditional happiness. It allows us to find contentment in any situation. One yoga master, Cindy Leigh, says, if we depend on objects and activities for our happiness, like chocolate, shopping, napping, or even sticking to the poses we love the most, we'll constantly be searching outside of ourselves. So contentment is that independence from the external conditions and finding happiness within. Learning to embrace what's right in front of you. Stop yearning for what's missing. So I invite you to set an intention for this practice. It could be something like finding gratitude in a difficult situation you're facing, or finding contentment within yourself. Whatever resonates with you that you'd like to dedicate the rest of the practice to. And then roll out of that position, gently easing the block from under your spine and rolling up into a seated position. And we'll come into a wide leg forward fold. So just bring your legs as wide as is comfortable for you. It may feel good to have a blanket or pillow under your to sit on for this, and just bring your arms up overhead with an inhale, and exhale. We'll fold over the right leg first. Actually, I think we'll turn towards the leg and just fold over it in a forward position. So how can we shift our focus from, like when I was describing the situation with my mother, I feel like a lot of times it's like I can get into a doom and gloom kind of mentality. And how do I shift my focus? And Santosha is an alternative way to move through the world. It requires us to make a paradigm shift, and where we view all the circumstances that we come across as opportunities to grow not judging them as good or bad, just moments to learn, to shine, to grow. You may feel that as you're staying with this pose, you're able to drop a little lower. The gravity is pulling you a little deeper into the fold. You can let your head fall down and feel heavy. We're just getting a little bit of a folding movement with our spine after having it in an extended position for a period of time. Take one more breath here. And then we'll slowly come up. Take an inhale, bring your hands overhead. Turn towards the left leg and bring yourself to fold over the left leg. And just move slowly, bring it to your edge. As we stay here with time, you may find yourself dropping a little deeper into the pose. You have about 30 more seconds on this side. Take one more big breath in and sigh it out, and slowly walk yourself up. And then just bring your arms overhead with an inhale, and we'll come forward to the center. You can bring the pillow in front of you if you like something to lean on. And just allow your head to drop. Use whatever support you need to feel comfortable and sustain this position. About 30 more seconds in this pose. Take another deep breath in, and then slowly bring yourself back up to a seated position. And we're going to do another pose with the block behind our back. If you want to just rock your knees side to side before we move into that to kind of release your spine from forward folding. And then we'll bring the pillow or books or block behind the shoulders this time instead of the lower back, and lean into it kind of in a supported fish position. You can also have something under your head if you like that. And then again, bring your legs into the butterfly position with the soles of your feet touching each other. Your hands can rest on your body or open up to the sky. This is opening more of the thoracic region of your spine. Before we were working with the lower back, the lumbar region. This position also helps to open our hearts, open our throat area. Notice where your breath comes in and out in this pose. Is it coming to your chest or all the way to your belly? This pose chest, the shoulders, abdominals, and neck, and also the organs of the belly and the throat. It's really good posture if you spend a lot of time seated at a desk, hunched over. It allows opening. Judith Lassiter says, we can easily practice Santosha in the beautiful moments and joyous experiences in our lives. But Patanjali asks us to be equally willing to embrace the difficult moments. And as I was reading about Santosha today and meditations from the mat, Rolf Gates suggests that practicing contentment in the beautiful moments is a good place to start. Sometimes we can be in the middle of a beautiful moment and still be wishing for more. We're unable to be still and appreciate it. We may be worrying about when it may end, if it's real, if you're worthy of it. And Santosha is the practice of being still with an open heart and an open mind. And we can practice this as we practice postures that we like, and we can also practice it with postures we don't like. So I invite you to watch your reactions as you move from posture to posture. Where does your mind go when things are going well? And what about when a pose is harder? Can you relax into the stillness and allow the moment to be enough? Take one more breath here and then just gently bring your knees to center. Prop yourself on your elbows and roll over towards one side, removing the prop, and come back down to your spine and pull your knees into your chest. You can let your knees drop wide. You can move them around in circles if that feels good. Just moving very slowly. And then change directions, moving your knees the other way. And then take your knees to center and drop them over to the left side with your arms at a T, and drop your head to the right. Taking some nice deep breaths. You can sigh it out through your mouth. So the practice of contentment begins with how we evaluate ourselves. Are you striving to be special when you already are? Are you able to recognize that you're worthy of being content with who you are? Santosha is a practice of meeting all parts of yourself with sweetness and love, the good, the bad, the ugly, so they say. So much of our society and our conditioning has centered around body image. As women, we need to be small to be beautiful. As men, muscular. The images on social media continue to promote it. I just read an article about body neutrality, and one quote from it says, if you're even a tiny bit of a critical person, there are always things that are wrong with everything. We have this notion of love that's connected to perfectionism. The image that we should be in bliss all the time is so strong in our culture, Joan Chrysler says. What could be a more successful and realistic approach might be that you have the body you have and accept what you have. It's an essential part of yourself. At least that's something to work toward. You don't have to love every part of it, but just accept it for what it is. On your next inhale, pull your knees up to center, pulling them into your chest, and then drop them over to the right, gazing over the left shoulder. Taking a few deep breaths here. It helps me to think about all the things my body can do for me. I'm able to feel things. I'm able to stretch. I can move and sweat. So maybe the message to your body is of gratitude for it allowing you to do the things that you need to do through the day. To breathe. To eat. To sleep. And then on your next inhale, pull your knees up to your chest, give them another hug. Take a big breath. And then we'll just roll up and over onto the belly, well, actually onto our knees. And then walk the hands out in front of you. So we're coming into melting heart. It's like a child's pose, but your hips are up in the air. Your hands are forward, resting the forehead on the mat, getting an opening through the chest and a back bend, a little bit of a back bend. You could have your arms wider if that feels better for your shoulders. And keep them in. If you're flexible, you can bring the chin to the floor, or you can keep your forehead on the floor. The benefits of this pose are to provide a back bend for the upper and middle back, opening the shoulders and softening the heart. So what are some things that we can do to feel more contentment, and how do we practice contentment? One of the practices that we can do for contentment, actually I'm going to stay upright so you can hear me, is to practice mindfulness, being present, allowing the posture to bring you deeply into the moment that you're in. Noticing the soles of your feet. How do they feel right now? Becoming aware of your knees on the floor, your hips, your shoulders, your forehead on the mat. or your chin, the length of your spine, the experience of the palms of your hands. Sensation of air against the skin. And being aware of this moment, can you feel contentment? Not as a resignation, but a vibrant experience. And then just walk your hands back, your hips back, coming into a child's pose. You can have your arms still up over your head or bring them back to the soles of your feet, whatever feels nice for you. Allowing the spine to curve, breathing into your upper back, your belly, feeling your belly press against your thighs. So contentment is an everyday practice. And most of the time we need to apply it to our everyday responsibilities and our efforts, our toils. We'll all have suffering in life. We'll all experience the loss of a loved one, maybe lose a job, maybe lose a spouse or encounter illnesses. And often we live in fear of these experiences. Marianne Williamson wrote that the spiritual journey is a relinquishment or an unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love back into our hearts. So, can we embrace the days of our lives with faith and love? It takes courage, but it can free us to feel enjoyment in our days. So just make your way up to a seated posture. What flows in seated today? Just take a few deep breaths, noticing how your body feels, how your mind feels. How are you emotionally? Have you had any shift during this practice? And then on your next inhale, bring your hands up to the sky and down to heart center, bowing the head. We close with an intention passed down for thousands of years from teacher to teacher. It's an ancient intention, but perhaps the original intention. It was taught to me from Alex, who is our leader in this mindful life practice community. And it's that our practice remains steady, our efforts remain continuous, and that our yoga serves and benefits and helps and heals all beings everywhere. May all beings be safe, be happy, be healthy and free. And may the thoughts and actions of each of our lives contribute toward this. So I invite you to just take a moment and think of something that you have gratitude toward today in this moment. And take a breath toward that thing that you feel grateful for. And I'm so grateful to each one of you for letting me guide your practice today and sharing this virtual space with me. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.